3 detected noises. That's why they're up there. That's why they're doing what they're doing. That's why they put sonar buoys in the water.
When you touch bottom, you don't really know where you are. And again, the compass immediately stopped working.
It's a 5-man capsule that people crawl into.
Say the sub was lost, I don't mean that it lost communication with the ship on the surface. That's what's happening now. What happened last year was the sub itself was lost in the dark.
The good news is, what I can tell you is we're searching in the area where the noises were detected.
The bottom of the sea, it could not find the Titanic. There's no GPS down there.
In the sea's murkiest reaches, this is what people pay nearly £200,000 to see.
We had to flail around blindly at the bottom of the ocean, knowing the Titanic was somewhere there, but it is so pitch dark.
Search teams in a race against time.
Everything else can fail. Your thrusters can go, your lights can go, you're still going to be safe.
On June 18, 2023, 5 missing Titanic tourists paid to descend 12,500 feet in the Titan and now have vanished without a trace.
This sub has 7 different return to the surface backup systems. So sandbags that drop off.
We can use these off-the-shelf components.
Lead pipes that drop off. The legs can drop off.
I got these from Camper World.
There's an air balloon.
We run the whole thing with this game controller.
Come on! There's thrusters.
I walked away due to my safety concerns. It was discovered an engine had been put on backwards.
One of the thrusters is thrusting backwards right now.
The mission went ahead anyway. The most serious structural flaw may have been using carbon fiber and titanium in the pressure hull.
The Titan, a submersible operated by American tourism and expeditions company OceanGate, was steered by a PlayStation controller, used components bought from Camping World and didn't have safety certification. Experts who raised safety concerns about the OceanGate vessel were apparently ignored. This tragedy has set off a torrent of questions without answers. One man was said to have refused to ride the sub after seeing how it was built, and another who described his voyage as suicide. Join us as we delve into this issue and uncover the details of this tragic event. Welcome to our exploration of the Titan submersible tragedy. The Titanic was a luxury liner that offered its first-class passengers the height of opulence and amenities. It set sail in 1912, soon hit an iceberg, and sank. Many people at the time called it an unsinkable ship. Well, that's until it sank. Scholars still wonder what secrets lie hidden beneath. First-class passengers on the Titanic had access to a wide range of exclusive amenities, including a private dining room, a library, and a lounge. The most splendid suites on both the Titanic and the Olympic were the 4 parlor suites, 2 each on B and C decks, just aft of the forward grand staircase landings. The Titanic's grand staircase displayed a level of opulence unseen in any form of travel at the time. It was constructed from polished oak, wrought iron, and an assortment of boutique glass. The grand staircase was situated below a beautiful dome that gave an excellent illusion of natural light at any hour of the day.
And pass it onto the floor bridge. At 20 minutes to 12, I was pacing up and down the deck, and I felt a good jar. I thought that was peculiar. I looked along the side, and I saw what I thought was a windjammer. But as it came astern, I saw it was an iceberg.
Then 3 rings on the bell gave the alarm from the crow's nest, and a shout down the telephone, "Ice ahead." The time was 11:40.
This is the second year we've been out to the Titanic. We went out in 5 8-day missions. We did about 10 dives to the wreck site of the Titanic, and we did an extra dive on an undiscovered reef that we found. Completely privately funded, and we're funded by, we call mission specialists, who help support the mission. So they take quite a bit of money to come and join us.
used to.
Is this a freak out moment for some people?
I haven't run across that yet. It could be our first.
We're in the murk, but we're close to the surface. You can see the scattering of the light from the surface. Sunbeams through the phytoplankton. It reminds me of snorkeling, and you don't have to hold your breath or worry about sucking in water. If we're sucking in water in here, we're in a bad state.
That's another 14.7 psi of pressure. So right now we're down about 80 plus meters of depth. So it's about 8 atmospheres.
I am trying to keep this thing from crashing. I've crashed the shuttle many a time, but I think I'm doing pretty good on this so far, yeah.
It's continuing to decay, and it seems to be accelerating. It's being eaten by a bacteria, so it's literally being eaten by the ocean. It's not rusting away. So these things that are called rusticles are actually the byproduct of a bacteria that eats the iron. And as it does that, these decks are collapsing. The promenade deck continues to collapse forward. So we're 33 feet, you get another atmosphere, and that's another 14.7 psi of pressure. Quite a bit of pressure, but inside, it's just like we're sitting in our living room. It's 1 atmosphere. So we don't have to worry about the bends, you don't have to worry about how fast you come up and down. You can hop on a plane this afternoon and it won't matter. So it's got a lot of benefits to scuba diving where there are much more, much greater restrictions because we're not subjecting our bodies to any pressure. And so it gives us an opportunity to observe things in a very comfortable and calm environment. This is an experimental sub. People are informed that it's very dangerous.
The sub was towed out to sea from Newfoundland before arriving at the wreck site on Sunday. It then began its dive in coordination with a mothership, the Polar Prince. Once a vessel goes below 1,000 meters, it'll be in darkness, no light. Farther down is the Titanic wreck, 3,800 meters under the North Atlantic. Those on board are believed to be the British billionaire Hamish Harding, British businessman Shahzada Daoud and his son, French explorer Paul-Henri Najolet, and this man, Stockton Rush, the chief executive of the expedition company Ocean Gate.
They were reporting sounds coming or banging coming from the sea.
And if they're continuing to be detected, and then put additional ROVs down in the last known position.
Hopes had been raised after underwater sounds were picked up on sonar equipment.
Had sonar buoys in the water nearly continuously and have not detected any catastrophic events when those sonar buoys have been in the water.
Ocean Gate Expeditions says it's getting help from government agencies and deep-sea companies, and it's praying for the crew's safe return.
The equipment that's been mobilized for this is the finest in the world. The most capable in the world. We have to hold out hope.
I am not a trained ear for underwater aquatics. That's why we have a team of experts that are analyzing that data.
Let's say they're there, the sub is intact, but they're immobile or their systems are down. They have no option but to sit and wait.
The sub relies on instructions from the ship on the surface.
Sunday, all contact with it was lost with the sub about an hour and 45 minutes into its dive.
Julia, it's over. There's no way we're going to rescue these people. The 96-hour figure is an absolute extreme figure for, really squeezing out the air to the last moment.
But as time ticks by, that hope of finding the Titan soon is fast running out.
Even if they found the submersible right this moment, at 8:11 in the morning, you think they wouldn't have a chance of getting it out in time for the oxygen if it did manage to last 96 hours?
No. But on Sunday, it detected an audio anomaly that, while not definitive, appeared consistent with an implosion or an explosion about the time the sub lost communication.
This morning, an ROV, or remote operated vehicle, from the vessel Horizon Arctic discovered the tail cone of the Titan submersible approximately 1,600 feet from the bow of the Titanic on the seafloor.
On Thursday, a Canadian team using a remotely operated vehicle, an ROV, discovered 2 debris fields roughly 1,600 feet from the site of the Titanic.
Titanic wreck site is a very hostile place. It's a dangerous site to dive. If you think of a typical research dive, you go down and you're really just operating over a bottom. But Titanic, you've got, this 8-story, 10-story high structure with overhanging metal structures. It's a twisted mess. You can get entangled. And entanglement was always a concern of ours.
Essentially, we found 5 different major pieces of debris that told us that it was the remains of the Titan.
Debris from the Titan was discovered just 500 yards from the Titanic.
I'm struck by the similarity of the Titanic disaster itself, where the captain was repeatedly warned, and yet he steamed at full speed into an ice field on a moonless night, and many people died as a result. And for a very similar tragedy where warnings went unheeded to take place at the same exact site, with all the diving that's going on all around the world, I think it's just astonishing. It's really quite surreal.
Question as to whether or not the sub collided with the Titanic or whether it imploded above and debris field created from that. The location of the Titan submersible was in an area that was approximately 1,600 feet from the wreck of the Titanic.
So the question is, where does the wreck lie in relation to the Titanic? I think 1,600 feet. That's off the bow of Titanic. It's in an area where there is not any debris of Titanic. It is a smooth bottom, and again, 200 plus meters from the bow, and consistent with the location of last communication for an implosion in the water column.
His dream was to go down and explore the Titanic, but unfortunately that dream turned into a nightmare.
Was the nose cone, which was outside of the pressure hull. We then found a large debris field. Within that large debris field, we found the front end bell of the pressure hull. That was the first indication that there was a catastrophic event.
Even wrote letters to the company saying that what they were doing was too experimental to carry passengers.
A second smaller debris field. Within that debris field, we found the other end of the pressure hull, the aft end bell, comprised of the totality of that pressure vessel.
Implosion, as Bob described it, such a violent event, you have to have a hull, a pressure hull made out of a contiguous material like steel or like titanium, which is the proven standard.
The debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber.
Pressure boundary, which is what they call the hull of the sub, that the people go inside, is obviously first and foremost in our minds as engineers. This is a mature art, and many people in the community were very concerned about this sub.
Search operation has been robust and immensely appreciated.
The people on board signed waivers. They knew that this was dangerous and that there weren't very many other vehicles that could come get them.
When I first heard about a move toward composite hull, I told those guys, I said, somebody's going to get killed.
This was completely different. This was a tube with made out of carbon fiber with 2 titanium spheres on either end, one with a large porthole. 2
hemispherical end caps and a carbon fiber cylinder in the center. And I never believed in that, because the way it fails is it delaminates.
Everything that you build has to be resistant to pressure. The killing force in the deep ocean is the combination of the pressure and the water.
On June 22, 2023, debris from a Titan submersible was found 500 yards from the Titanic wreck. All 5 passengers aboard the missing submersible owned by OceanGate have died in a catastrophic implosion, the U.S. Coast Guard confirmed.
I'm convinced, and this is what I really think we have to think now beyond what has happened, unfortunately. I'm convinced that both of those men got into that submersible on Sunday without any thought in their head that this could possibly happen.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a comment.